Well, hello, Internet. Alex Guide wrote in and asked for more information on indirect hypnosis. Well, in this video, along with all the other videos that are attached, I'm going to teach you exactly how to direct people without them knowing. So what is indirect hypnosis? It's simply the issuing of commands subliminally to people without them knowing. People go into trances all the time. I'm sure at one point in your life, you've left a place and returned home in your car and cannot remember the trip at all. That is because during that period of driving, you were in a trance. Marketing uses indirect hypnosis all of the time, mainly through the uses of the yes set and through manipulation of the decision-making principles, which I document in the video that is provided here. So what are the steps to cause indirect hypnosis? First, you have to build rapport through mirroring and matching, discover the subject's chosen representational system, which I go over in detail in the video Advanced Sales Techniques Part 2, but I'm going to get into it here. Then you have to discover how a person makes decisions if you're trying to make them make the decision you want them to. That is also covered in Advanced Sales Part 2. If you want to, instead of seeing a list of things, you actually want to see how to implement these techniques. Then you place the subject into trance through either a direct action by establishing a yes set or through confusing language. Then you issue commands through the use of conjunctions, stories, and metaphors. So where does this stuff come from? Well, indirect hypnosis was created by a man named Milton Erickson, mainly because he knew the power of hypnosis, but at a certain period of time, he was restricted from using hypnosis, so he had to develop covert ways to hypnotize people. NLP is a branch of psychology first created by Richard Bandler and John Grinder. And what they did is they studied what Erickson and other noted psychologists did to change lives. And then, for the first time ever, they cataloged those techniques step by step. If you understand NLP, you'll understand how we communicate on a multitude of levels and how to get people to follow your commands. So what is rapport? Rapport is simply the development of a close and harmonious relationship in which two or more people understand each other and can communicate well. You build strong rapport through mirroring, matching, and copying representational systems. So what's mirroring? When you're with someone you trust, you may not notice, but you're naturally mirroring him or her. Mirroring is defined as when you copy someone else's behavior, movement, body position, hand gestures, tone of language, etc. A clear example of mirroring is seen when a couple naturally completes each other's sentences. They are so in tune, they actually seem to be reading each other's thoughts. What most people do not realize is that mirroring is a two-way street. You can actually mirror a person slightly and get them to feel closer to you naturally. When mirroring people, it is very important that it stays outside of their perception. Be very subtle by copying breathing, the speed in which they are talking, and a few of the phrases they are using. But don't make it obvious that you are mirroring them. What other things should you match? Their breathing pattern. To figure out when a person is exhaling, you can tell that they're exhaling because their shoulders are going to lower slightly, and when they're inhaling, their shoulders are going to rise slightly. Also, a person exhales whenever they are speaking. You also want to match their voice tone, their posture, any gesturing that they're performing, and you can find more information on gesturing in my gestures and body language video. You also want to match their blink rate and their representational systems. So what is all this talk about chosen representational system? So what you have to understand is whenever you ask somebody a question, an event actually triggers in their mind in which they remember something they've seen or heard, or an actual action replays in their mind. People that talk very slowly normally replay that action in their mind. This is called kinetic, but I'm not going to get into that. I get into it in another video. But whenever they are remembering something visually, you can tell that because their speech is actually going to change, and they're going to start using a lot of words that are visually representative, such as brightness and so forth and so on. However, if they remember something that they heard in the past, they're going to start talking in audio. They're going to talk about things being loud, or they're going to start using phrases like, "Can you hear what I'm saying?" versus a visual thinker would say something like, "Can you see what I mean?" By speaking in their chosen system, what you say will sound more believable to them, and they'll grasp onto it and want to continue to follow along with you. The commands you provide will also seem very reasonable to follow. And if you are trying to convince somebody of something, you can discover the number of times you must convince them in their chosen representational system by simply asking, how many times do you need to see, hear, or do something before you feel you understand it? Again, if that's not 100% clear, there's another video that goes completely through the representational systems. To really be able to persuade people, you must understand exactly how their brain processes and makes decisions. Now, I went over the principles of decision making in a previous video, and the name of that is How to Influence People, if you want to look into that. But you also can find additional information, if you want to go really deep, by understanding what is called meta-programming. See, our brains create what are called maps. Whenever we are looking back into a past event to decide to make a decision, like I talked about previously, well, the meta-programming actually deciphers those maps. Those things we remember seeing, those things we remember hearing, and those things we remember doing. And through the use of meta-programming, this is how a person reasons, gathers information, decides on preferences, and makes decisions. Hope that you're grasping this. If not, again, there'll be a video here on 100% on metaprogramming. You have to understand, I'm trying to explain something that's really complicated through a series of videos. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Then what you want to do is place them into trance. And you can do this through either a direct action, through the use of the yes set, which is probably the easiest way. I go 100% through the yes set in the Advanced Sales Techniques Part 4 video, but I'm going to go more into the yes set here real soon. Or you can confuse them with tricky language, metaphors, or stories. You can also issue commands using conjunctions, metaphors, and also stories. Now the yes set. It is just a process of asking questions that are guaranteed to get the other person to respond with a yes. That's all the yes set is. Psychology researchers have found that if you get a person to answer affirmatively to topics that relate to what decision you want them to make, 7 to 8 times you are almost guaranteed that they are going to say, yes, I will do what you tell me to do. Through the yes set, you can gain access to the quick thinking part of the brain. This is the unconscious mind versus the no part of the brain, which is the conscious mind. People use their unconscious mind to make instant decisions. When a deer runs in front of your car, your unconscious keeps you from crashing. How does it do that? Your unconscious makes decisions based on rules and past experiences, nearly instantaneously. One of the rules that strongly governs the unconscious mind is the consistency principle. This principle states that a person will strive to remain consistent with their past decisions and statements. And the yes set gets people to agree with you by accessing the unconscious mind by placing them in a trance by asking simple questions, then making them believe they are answering consistent to their past responses, going on to asking them questions that will definitely return a yes response, and gradually asking questions that are less probable or questions that you want them to say yes to so that they agree with you and agree to do what you want them to do. Here's some examples. How are you doing today? Pretty good? This is going to get you a yes response. Can you please sit down there? Of course. Is the temperature in the room comfortable? Or, I see you're looking at, and point at whatever they specifically are looking at. Milton Erickson, the world's greatest hypnotherapist, embedded suggestions in many ways. He first would build rapport, establish a yes set, and then embed suggestions through the use of stating a truism followed by a conjunction and then a suggestion. Or through assumptions, what are called double binds, analogies, metaphors, or stories. Now, double binds are simply saying, like if you're in a sales situation, would Tuesday or Wednesday work better for you? See, either way the person answers, you win. So that's what a double bind is. Here are a list of conjunctions you could use to embed a suggestion with a truism or a current event. You could say something like, as you sit in the chair, you may feel yourself becoming very relaxed. Or, every time you blink your eyes, you feel a need to swallow. Or, because you have relaxed in the past, this means you can relax now all over again. You can also convince people by assuming that they will do or think about that which you want them to. And here are some examples of powerful phrases to get people to do what you want by assuming that they will. You may be wondering what this beautiful TV would look like in your living room, or you may notice a little itch somewhere on your body now. Or how about you may find yourself wondering what else you'll learn by watching these videos. Embedding suggestions can also be accomplished through the use of analogies. You could say something like you chose to spend a little more for a car that excited you behind the wheel for a lot less. This new TV will excite you every moment you're in your home. Another great analogy would be like you chose a neighborhood that is safe with reliable neighbors and provided convenience. This car will keep your family safe, it will remain reliable for years, and its great fuel economy will keep you from losing money at the pump. A true story interlaced with many metaphors and analogies, assumptions, and conjunctions will really get you what you want, however. Alex, everything you want is already provided to you right here. If you want to get your way, a date, a sale, or anything else, just follow the techniques laid out in the advanced sales technique videos. That video series applies rather than just lists the techniques. I've covered just about everything but metaprogramming, which I am going to put out today and is linked right here. And pretty much everything else is at newthinktank.com. If you want anything else specifically, leave it in the comment section below. Till next time. Well, hello, Internet. Alex Guides wrote in and asked for more information on indirect hypnosis. Well, in this video, along with all the other